Secret speed shoe is a cool phrase. I like that. It's like a phone.
Secret pocket.
Yeah. On's first attempt at a max cushion shoe. Let's see how the Cloudmonster stacks up. So just a quick disclaimer up front, I am an REI employee, but the opinions I'm about to share are mine based on my personal experience. So the On Cloudmonsters are coming in at 1 pound, 3.4 ounces a pair, or about 9.7 ounces per shoe. There's a 6mm drop with about 30mm of stack height in the heel and about 24mm of stack height in the forefoot. Positioning a shoe as a nimble max cushion shoe is a little elusive. It's like saying breathable waterproof. It's hard to kind of get a nimble max cushion shoe because most max cushion shoes are very squishy, very comfy, but they don't have a lot of energy return. Traditionally, a max cushion shoe is the shoe that you would put on when maybe you want to go on your easy runs, when you're building up the volume. But On is saying that you can still be fast and speedy and snappy on these runs with a max cushion option. As I really put the shoe on and really dug a little bit deeper, it kind of became apparent why that is. So we'll start with the upper. You'll kind of notice that it's pretty standard. It's got this kind of synthetic, a little bit of a knit feel to it. It's not a ton of stretch. One of the things that I noticed putting the shoe on is that it felt a little bit more roomy than some of the other On models. You can kind of see it's got a little bit of that width there. It's got a little bit more of that volume. If you go to the back of the shoe towards the heel, you can see that there's not a lot of structure there, which I kind of dig, especially for a max cushion shoe. I'm not really looking for a lot of that kind of structure to kind of get in the way. I'm thinking about comfortable rides. So on the instep of the shoe, you do have some longer laces that I kind of like. I actually kind of like the color too. You have this like asymmetrical tongue. Maybe it is symmetrical, it's hard to tell, but like this line is certainly not. So I always think when there's a line, make the line straight. And when you make the line straight, the tongue is not straight. So it's just kind of like this weird thing. I'm never sure where the tongue should be, and that's weird, but it's fine. It doesn't get in the way. It's just kind of a strange thing for me. You get down to the midsole, which is kind of the signature for most On shoes. You have these cloud elements. These are the most cushioned elements that On has ever made. Again, injecting it with that Helion foam. That's kind of the trademark called out there in the heel. So these clouds actually kind of compress and then they kind of rebound, which is kind of cool. And that's what gives it a little bit of that signature On feel. Yeah, that feels cool, right?
Let me pause myself to acknowledge
that. Yeah, I know. Moving down to the outsole, really what you'll notice is the difference in the color, and that black is really where they add those rubberized elements to it to kind of give it a little bit longer lasting wear and also to add a little bit more traction. You'll notice that it's in the heel. You'll also notice that it's in the forefoot. For both of those striking options also kind of takes you through that full gait. The speedboard down here that you can barely see is truly what gives the shoe its kind of like unique touch. That speedboard you can hear is pretty firm when I kind of tap it. And what that allows for is true energy response. So when the clouds collapse, you really kind of get that cushion, but then you hit that speedboard and it really bounces back. So one of the most unique tests I put this shoe through was recently on this run. I turned 33 1/3. I wanted to run 33.3 miles, record spin at 33 1/3 speeds. We broke up the run into 3 different legs. Each one of them was 11.1 miles. And this was the shoe I actually wore on that last leg, which was really interesting. So I put the shoe on after I already had 22.2 miles. And I would say I was like, okay, like excited, but a little tired. I wanted to see how they would feel. Also, that last leg had a little bit of mixed surfaces. Up here in Seattle, that means mud. So like a little bit of muddy surfaces, a little bit of like that kind of wet cement and asphalt, things like that. And so I wasn't sure if they were gonna give me the cushion that I was looking for, or if they were gonna try to make my legs work faster than I wanted to work after they were a little bit tired. But they actually came through in a really cool way. I found that, lots of max cushion shoes really give you that squishy feel, which is something I enjoy. But when my feet were kind of tired, the cloud elements actually gave me enough structure to keep me upright. When I was excited about a thing, and I try to get excited about a thing a lot on that run, it made me go fast when I wanted to go fast. But then when I kind of wanted to shorten my stride and just kind of finish up or kind of really kind of go up the hills, it allowed me to do that with the cloud elements collapsing and rebounding without feeling like I was losing a lot of energy. Most of my runs in new shoes tend to be kind of slower paced runs. I'm just kind of hanging out, especially if I know they're going to be max cushion, then I'm really excited to see what that squishiness kind of feels like. But I put these on and just looked at my watch and like, I'm going that fast. I couldn't believe that I was actually gaining a lot more traction than I had expected and a lot more speed in that way. In particular, what was kind of strange was honestly the hills and the way that it climbed the hills. I felt that I didn't sink in down there. I kind of just hit the hill and then I just sprang right back up, which was pretty rad. So I thought like, oh, okay, maybe it's a new shoe. Maybe I was excited. I'll see how it runs next time. I put them on again and I was like, oh, I'll go for a quick run. And I looked down and it was like the fastest 5 miles I've done ever. And I was like, whoa, okay, well, these shoes are still comfortable. Usually that's not a thing I say after like I'm running fast. So what I think is really interesting about the shoe is that it truly delivered on that promise there. I think what's also really interesting about this shoe is that On really wants you to run in the shoe. Lots of max cushion shoes are for folks that perhaps want to walk in max cushion shoes, perhaps are working and are standing a long time in max cushion shoes. This shoe's not for that. This shoe is truly meant to be run in. So it's a really interesting shoe because it capitalizes on that movement and it really encourages that movement in a way that I just hadn't seen up until now. So it was actually an exciting shoe. It's also purple, which is tight. So like it just feels like a shoe that I reach for when I want to feel excited about my runs. I spent about 40 miles in the On Cloudmonster. So many ons, dude. I gotta remove all these ons.
These shoes are making you weird.
Yeah, totally. I just want to call them the monsters too. It's so weird. Does that feel okay? And I started off thinking it'll be a max cushion shoe. I can kind of use it in rotation with my other max cushion daily trainers. But now it's kind of turning into this like secret speed shoe for me. Speed is something that I've only recently started to think about and trying to work more into my running routine. The Cloudmonster is a shoe that really makes me understand this notion of like putting in the volume of miles while working on pace. I know that I should be focusing on volume over speed and kind of working on speed sometimes, and I can wear speed shoes for that. But while I'm putting in the miles and kind of working on that volume of miles, I can work on my speed a little bit, and this shoe really helps me accomplish that. So I'm actually really excited to start this journey and kind of go through with that intention, and I think the shoe is going to keep me stoked in doing that. So my experience in the On Cloudmonster was pretty eye-opening, but I'd love to hear from you all. Are you using it different than I am? Is it your secret speed shoe? Is it your daily trainer? Let me know below. I'd love to hear from you. It's kind of got that ability to rock, but it rocks with speed. I hate that I said that out loud right now. I sound like 80s glam metal. Yeah, maybe I'll say that again.